I want to take a few minutes to talk about how to start a life group, because there have been times when a life group can start, it has a great beginning, everybody shows up, everybody's excited about it, but somehow the group disbands. It just never forms, and it never quite gets momentum, and you say, well, what is it that happened? Why is it that the group didn't make it? It seemed like everybody was glad to be there, it seemed like it had a lot of potential, but somehow the group just never flourished. And so I want to talk about that, how to have a great first meeting, and what should you do to make sure that the meeting continues, that the group flourishes. It's kind of like when a baby is born, you do everything you can to put it in a intensive care unit if it needs to be, because you want to give that baby the best opportunity to survive. Now, with a life group, it's kind of like in physics. There's an element of physics that says that when you get an object moving, there's something called static friction. It takes more energy to get something moving than to keep it moving. And to get a small group going, it takes some energy, it takes some work, because nobody knows each other. Everybody has good intentions, but to develop new habits and to get in, to build relationships, to build some trust, it takes some work and some energy. So I want to give you a few suggestions on how to make for a great first meeting, and how to follow up on that first meeting to make sure that the group has the best opportunity for success. The first thing, right after the first meeting, it's really important to email everybody. Remind them of how great it was to connect. Remind them of if there's an assignment that was made. Remind them of the time. Remind them to encourage a friend to come and join them. Remind them to pray for each other, but just connect with them and let them know how excited you are about having them over your house, if that's what you did, or just to get the group started. Be sure and email those people that didn't show up. In fact, not just email them. It's great to give them a phone call and let them know, we really missed you. We had a great time, but it's not the same without you. We want you to be a part. Was there anything standing in the way of you getting there? Because I'd love to remove those obstacles next time, but you're wanted and you're needed. And without that phone call, it's easy for people to just say, well, I missed out. Everybody else now knows each other. And your words of encouragement can make all the difference for somebody to show back up. After the second meeting, you're going to have some people that didn't show up, who showed up at the first meeting. And it's really, really important to contact them, to make sure that they knew where the meeting was, and probably was at the same place, so that's kind of a lame excuse, but make sure that they knew the time. And some people just flat forget, they're not in the habit, and so I find that to be true a lot. And so you just want to encourage them, hey, we're so glad, don't feel guilty, don't feel embarrassed, just show up. We're so glad that you came that first time, and I think you're going to find that if you'll keep showing up, that we're going to build some great relationships, we're going to grow in the faith, and this is going to be a wonderful thing. But we want you. We missed you. It wasn't the same without you. We loved having you there the first time, so please come back on that third meeting that we have. Now, there's going to be some people that missed the first and second meeting, and I would call them. And if you left a message on the phone, wait a couple days and call them again. Try to get somebody in person, but always leave a message on the phone, just reminding them of who you are and how much you want them to be a part, and how welcome they are to come and join the group, and how much they have in common with everybody else. We're all just a bunch of people just trying to get through life. We all have obstacles in the way of showing up, but we're all going to make an effort, and if we do, then we're going to have a relationship, and we're going to have a community, and we're going to have a connection that will help us to be better people, but also to live in the kind of community that God created us to live in. And so if somebody doesn't come the third time, you don't want to browbeat them. There's an old phrase that says, a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. So if we're trying to convince them and trying to give them all kinds of verses to make them feel guilty and guilt them into coming, they might come once just to get us off their back, but it's not going to last. And so ultimately, you just want to say to them, if you get them on the phone or even leaving a message, I just think email and text messaging, that's okay, but it's not the same as the personal touch. If they live in your neighborhood, drop by, send them a note. But person to person is the best means of saying, you know what, we care, we love you, and I don't want to bug you, I'm not here to bug you, but I don't mind calling. If you want me to call and stay on you, then I will. But you just let me know. If you'd rather have me not call, then I won't. But I'm just calling because I care. Love to see you get involved. And if they don't respond, then hey, you did what you could. You loved them as best you could, and just let them go. You know, there's a phrase that a friend of mine once said. He said, "Some will, some won't. Who's next?" So we just keep inviting and encouraging and leaving that door open. So if you'll do these things, I think you'll have a great first meeting. But I think the follow-up of getting people connected will be way better if we just go that extra mile, especially the first 2 or 3 weeks of the group meeting, because there's lots of things pulling against people, and it just takes a bit for people to get in the habit of making it a priority. And once they begin to build relationships, it'll be easier for them to show up and not just stay home and watch American Idol. So God's best to you. Thanks. Bye now.